Ladies and gentlemen of the PWF Empire, tonight we present to you another edition of Last Mark Standing. I am Jay, your judge and host for the evening. Thank you all for tuning in to the show. Before we get too deep into things, I want to pause right here to explain to you all what the concept of Last Mark Standing is if you are unaware. Last Mark Standing is basically a debate / game show. It's kind of like Around the Horn, but for wrestling. Last Mark Standing is judged on 3 rounds of competition. Each round begins with a pro wrestling themed question, followed by the contestants answering that question. Once all of the answers are established, that's where things get interesting, because at that point, the contestants engage in this all-out, no-holds-barred war where they're battling for supremacy. Now, I do have to say this is not a popularity contest. You do not win because you have the best answer. You win because you have the best argument. And the person with the best argument in that specific round, they get points. When all of the rounds are over with, the person with the most points will be crowned the last mark standing. Now, that is a moment that each of our contestants tonight have actually experienced before, because we've had 3 episodes of Last Mark Standing so far, 3 winners. They're all back tonight to go head to head to determine the ultimate winner. Now, while all of them can call themselves victors currently, that will only be true for one of them when everything is said and done tonight. And not only will that person be the ultimate winner, they'll also be a champion, because tonight, ladies and gentlemen, you will witness the crowning moments of the very first Last Mark Standing champion. Will that person be Duke, Manny, or Lucas? Let's go ahead and kick the festivities off so we can all find out. You're interested, right? Let's get into it. The very first question in the first round of Last Mark Standing is this. We recently witnessed WWE's superstar shakeup, some people jumping ship from Raw to SmackDown and then from SmackDown to Monday Night Raw. I am interested to find out from our contestants, from our marks tonight, what did you think was the best move in WWE's superstar shakeup? Go ahead and kick things off with Lucas.
The best shakeup that occurred last week in the WWE has to be Alexa Bliss going over to Monday Night Raw. And it's as simple as that. You're going to find out why.
All right, Manny, best move in the superstar shakeup.
I'm going to go with The Miz going over to Monday Night Raw.
And Duke, what is your pick for the best move in the superstar shakeup?
It's Charlotte to SmackDown, and it's not even close.
Okay, you say it's not even close. I guess I'll be the judge of that, literally. Go ahead, take it away.
So, right off the bat, Charlotte going to SmackDown isn't the best move of the superstar shakeup, and here's why. Charlotte going to SmackDown is the only best move for herself, not for the brand, because the problem with her going to SmackDown will be that she's going to shine over everyone else. She's going to overshadow everyone in that division, and therefore there is no benefit coming out of that brand in terms of Charlotte going over to SmackDown. I mean, let's take a look at what happened over the course of the last year that she's been on Raw. Number one, it's only been matches with her against Sasha and Bayley that have made her stand out. As far as what Charlotte brings to the table, can you please enlighten me with what she brings to the table? Because
she had a good match with Nia Jax.
You are not going to sit here and say Charlotte has not been great on Raw. I'm not going to let you get away with that.
She had a good match with Nia Jax, and I'm not even sure that Shawn Michaels would have a good match with Nia Jax at this point. So,
but the thing about that is, Lucas is right in one vein. It's not beneficial for Charlotte to go over to SmackDown because there's nobody for her to really feud with. The problem that SmackDown had before with a lack of depth in its female roster, where it's only Becky Lynch and Alexa Bliss. Now it's only really Becky Lynch and Charlotte. And you could throw Naomi in there, but Naomi hasn't demonstrated the ability to carry her weight as a character or as a compelling figure within the SmackDown roster yet. That may change in the future, but as of right now, you can't use that as a point.
And let's
play a little bit of matchmaking here.
We've already seen her face names like Becky Lynch and Natalya, 2 feuds which desperately failed last year. I mean, what, are we going to get the same stories all over again? I mean, there's just not much depth in terms of who she can face on SmackDown. She's pretty much going to be what comes to SmackDown, takes over, and runs with that division. That's all she's going to be there for, is take that title from Naomi, bury everyone within that division. And why? Because she has the last name Flair. And the reason why her run as a heel worked so successfully on Raw was because of who she worked with, which I said earlier, Sasha Banks and Bayley, who were the biggest baby faces in that division and the 2 most likable women on the roster. So,
and the 2 most underwhelming call-ups from NXT as far as the women go.
You think they were the
hell?
This is not about Bayley or Sasha, but clearly out of the 3 of them, I would say Charlotte is not the better of them. That's all I'm going to say there, my friend.
My God.
And Alexa Bliss going over to try to replace Charlotte on Raw doesn't do anything either.
Whoa.
No, Alexa Bliss doesn't help Raw one bit.
It does
Wait
not.
a minute. Wait a
Because
minute.
the thing about Alexa Bliss on SmackDown was that SmackDown never had a top heel as far as in the women's division.
She was the top
basically
heel in the SmackDown
And
women's division.
they
Yeah, she
just
just kinda
had
fell
her
into
fill
that
that
role.
spot. The problem with her now is like you're taking her out of there and you're throwing her in with a Nia Jax, who if you tell me Alexa Bliss is the top heel, I'm going to look at Nia Jax and tell you she can go in to get her ass whooped by Nia. And I'm just going to sit here, and if I look at Charlotte, I say, Charlotte could beat Nia.
And that's not even just from an in-ring perspective. Nia Jax, for as little as she says and does so far, she's a far more compelling character than Alexa Bliss is at this point.
Whoa, okay, tell me what the hell Nia Jax brings to the table. Please tell me. Because as far as Alexa Bliss,
she brings size.
She brings size. Okay,
kind of promo. She becomes that center face, like that centerpiece.
She's basically the Mark Henry of the division right now. What do you mean? What does she bring to the table? She talks shit. She talks shit in the ring all the time.
This isn't about size, and as far as talking shit is concerned, nobody does it better than Alexa Bliss. So I don't even know why you guys are even bringing that up. As far as I'm
awful. Are you serious?
She is not.
I don't see the thing that everybody loves about Alexa Bliss. She is fucking awful.
Okay.
On the mic. I can't stand listening to her. If she was so awful, then why did she get the biggest pop of the night on Raw in terms of the women's division? I mean, she even got a bigger pop than Charlotte when she appeared on Monday Night Raw. Because everybody knew that Charlotte was going to be there on Monday Night Raw. It was like, oh, Alexa Bliss, what a surprise. Yay.
Okay,
you want a fucking cookie for that?
You know who else got like little mini pops? The Miz, Dean Ambrose. Every single person who showed up on Raw from SmackDown got a pop. That's not an adequate judge of like how it goes. Because the people that you don't see on Raw are
of The Miz, coming over from SmackDown, where SmackDown has been built as sort of the story, the show that guys tell the story in the ring, whereas Raw has been built more so as the show where guys tell the story, like on the mic and everything like that. Bringing The Miz over from SmackDown to Raw puts him in the position to be able to tell these stories on a grander stage. Now, I personally love SmackDown, but I'm not going to sit here and pretend like Raw doesn't get more viewership or better ratings or have a bigger spotlight. It's a 3-hour show. It's the show that is like the flagship of WWE. So having Miz on there to be able to do the great stuff that he's been doing on the mic on a grander stage is far more beneficial than what the fuck we're talking about with Charlotte and Alexa, the impact that they'll have.
And the problem with The Miz going to Raw is that he's going to be overshadowed by guys like Braun Strowman, Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, Finn Balor, Roman Reigns, and Samoa Joe. You said it yourself. Yes, Monday Night Raw is the flagship show. Therefore, it's 3 hours long. Therefore, they have to put on a show, which means Miz might not even be given the platform that he was given on SmackDown to shine, given the fact that SmackDown is a smaller show.
Yeah, so it's a 3-hour show. He'll have a platform.
But The Miz is at risk of being overshadowed because I don't care what position you put him in. He's clearly not going to be in the main event. He's not going to be as talked about as a guy like Roman Reigns or Braun Strowman. And we even saw it on Raw as evidence and as proof of that. He got buried by Dean Ambrose right from the beginning of Monday Night Raw, and then he's put in a match against Sami Zayn, which no one was even talking about. Then what does he do? He goes backstage. He bitches to Kurt Angle. That's the role Miz is going to play. He's going to be reduced to mid-card. That's what he's always been known to be, even on Monday Night Raw. Yes, I'll give you SmackDown. He was great on SmackDown, but this isn't about SmackDown. The Miz is on Raw right now.
No, it's not about SmackDown. It's about what he does on Raw.
Can I talk? Can I have like 30 seconds?
You say that like you haven't been talking at all.
Cool, because I haven't been able to get in a fucking word about Charlotte.
And I don't think you're going to.
And the thing about Miz, and first of all, the thing about Miz, and this just going to be really quick, is the Miz's story wasn't finished on SmackDown. The SmackDown was set up for the Miz to have like that feud that runs through Daniel Bryan in a way. And they were like moving with it. They were like doing everything. Now that you've moved him over to Raw, some of the things that helped get him over have almost been removed from him too quickly, to the point where, yeah, he does his John Cena impression, but John Cena's on SmackDown. Okay, he does the Daniel Bryan. He does the Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan's on SmackDown. What's he gonna do? The ankle lock?
I mean, you give Miz the opportunity now to bring that heat and everything that he had over to Raw and have a.
But it's not going to be the same. It's not going to be the same, man. It's not going to have the same effect.
It wasn't going to be anything anyway because Daniel Bryan isn't getting in that ring. If he was going to get in the ring, then he would have done it at WrestleMania, and then it wouldn't have been an issue. Now you give Miz the opportunity.
Daniel Bryan getting in the ring.
You just said you had the opportunity to run feuds through Daniel Bryan. That's literally what you said.
First of all,
you know how great it would be to see Daniel Bryan select Sami Zayn as his guy, and then the Miz is just out to get him because the Miz was supposed to be Daniel Bryan's guy.
No, that's
Daniel Bryan was the Miz's guy. And now you've got all these different ways to start feuds that feel like it's not just one guy coming out to attack somebody for no reason.
Miz needed the opportunity to go somewhere fresh and get into some different feuds as opposed to a dead-end feud with Daniel Bryan and a feud with John Cena.
The mid-cards effectively
because John Cena's not on the show.
But the problem is the mid-cards effectively swapped, so none of us recommended Dean Ambrose. So if we're assuming Dean Ambrose still went to Raw, Dean Ambrose has still got the title that the Miz should be holding. I don't need to see that feud again. I want to see the Miz go up against Sami Zayn. I want to watch the Miz versus. I want to watch him in a weird way. I'd like to see like some way where they were able to play that off and get a Kevin Owens match in some way, shape, or form, where maybe they're just both arrogant. Shit, in a way, I want to see AJ and Miz, and I don't know why. There's just so much on SmackDown that's fun, and I don't. No, I don't know why. Just I really do. I think that match that they had on SmackDown was fantastic, and I sat there. I went, these guys would have a compelling feud. There's nobody AJ. I sit there and say
AJ. You would watch AJ versus anybody.
Okay, let's go ahead and start to bring it on home.
Wait, Jay. I gotta talk about my girl Alexa Bliss here first.
Well, you are gonna get the opportunity to talk about Alexa Bliss because I am going to turn it over to you all. Deliver your final cases why your pick is the best move in the Superstar Shakeup, and we're gonna start with you, Lucas. Why is Alexa Bliss the best pick?
Okay, when it comes to what a roster shakeup is all about and what it should be, Alexa Bliss is the definition of that because she is exactly what the Raw women's division needed, a huge change, and she was the start of that. The division that needed the most shakeup in all of the WWE right now was indeed the women's division over on Raw because for months, all we were getting was the same crap between Charlotte, Sasha, and Bayley, and it needed to change. It was the same three women all the time, and that's already ran old for a very long time. Alexa, now being in the picture, she freshens things up. She sparks change. She brings attitude and adds a completely different dynamic to the division as far as her entire style is concerned. She's unique. She has this approach where she demands the attention and she wants to steal the thunder from everybody. And as proof of that, you switch over to Monday Night Raw in a segment where Sasha Banks and Bayley are about to have a complete meltdown and Sasha Banks is about to completely, I guess, turn on Bayley. What does Alexa Bliss do? She turns the attention to her. She immediately steals anything that was deemed as important of what Sasha and Bayley were doing in the ring, and she brings the spotlight to her. Bam! Just like that, she made a statement, and she's the perfect antagonist to Bayley and Sasha Banks because as we saw, like I said, she took the attention from them, which means she's going to bring out the best of them, and they're now forced in a position where they have to compete with the best, and the best is Alexa Bliss. They needed that. I don't care what anybody says. They needed that. And also, she's going to provide better feuds, newer storylines, because keep in mind, there is Mickie James, and we need to see that story play out between Alexa Bliss and Mickie James. It's a storyline we haven't seen, that we've never seen before, and it's about to unfold. She's also the perfect mean girl as far as perfect witty comebacks are concerned, something that Duke's girl Charlotte really lacks is mic skill and the ability to make nice verbal witty comebacks. So as far as the mic work category and just the entire entertainment aspect, Alexa Bliss is perfect for that category. Now, back to The Miz. Manny, the problem with you choosing The Miz is the fact that he was not a guy Raw was desperately on the phone for, that they needed. He's not somebody that they were like, oh, we got to get excited for this guy. He's not what's shaking the core of the WWE right now. They didn't need him. SmackDown.
And Alexa Bliss is?
I just explained why. I literally just explained why Alexa Bliss over on Monday Night Raw is perfect, because she demands the attention. She's going to demand the attention, and you're going to see how she runs the table on girls like Sasha Banks and Bayley and Mickie James.
Manny, you're up next.
You done? I could go now? Cool. So, yeah, Alexa Bliss ain't shit. I want y'all to know that. Because you want to talk about somebody being overshadowed. Y'all talk about The Miz being overshadowed. Alexa Bliss is going to be overshadowed by Nia Jax, by Sasha Banks, and by Bayley. Oh, and by Mickie James, who swapped over to Raw as well. I know you brought up that point that you want the finality to whatever the fuck they got going on, but I would argue that Mickie James is more important to that story or to that division and varying everything than Alexa Bliss is. Alexa Bliss is going to come in and just be another fucking mean girl, and it's not, me personally, I don't get the appeal of Alexa Bliss, but to each his own, whatever. I don't think she's going to have the same impact that you say. You can say you explained everything and whatnot, but I just don't agree. As far as Charlotte goes, I love Charlotte. She's been a great in-ring performer, and she's making strides on the mic. The problem is she's going to go to SmackDown and have much of the same problems as Alexa Bliss had while she was on SmackDown. There's nobody really there to work with. So she was on Raw working with Sasha all the time, and then Bayley came in, and it was always a sort of three-way between those three. Now she's going to go to SmackDown, and it's just Becky Lynch and just Naomi. And Naomi hasn't even been, she's Diva Champion and everything over there, but she hasn't proven herself as a compelling character to be able to tell these same caliber of stories that Charlotte has been able to in her time on Raw. Whereas Miz, who was never the guy, I've never argued that he was going to be the guy that come on to the main event scene and set the world on fire or anything like that. But he's going to take the opportunity to take all of the energy and all of the momentum and everything that he's garnered up in his time on SmackDown and transfer it over to Raw and tell some compelling stories, because that's what Raw has been about, is storytelling. He's going to get that opportunity to tell compelling stories with a wider variety of different individuals as opposed to the same people that he's already worked with on SmackDown. And I think that will have a larger impact in making sure that we, the WWE Universe, are entertained by his antics and seeing everything that he has to offer us going forward.
Okay, finally. All right, so let's actually talk about Charlotte for a second. So, now, Charlotte is in this weird situation in which she is by far and above the best woman on the roster, and it's not even close. And that is in every aspect. She's the best in the ring. She is the best on the mic, whether or not you want to admit it. Her heel promos at this point are damn good, to the point where there's nobody in that company as far as women who can even come close to her in matching her intensity and the way that she's actually able to deliver a promo now. Now that she's developed these skills, you take her off of Raw because the feuds kind of have dried up, and you send her over to SmackDown. And now we kind of have to plan for a year's worth of programming with Charlotte and the big thing that we've been bringing up is, it's only Becky and Naomi over there. I'm hearing my own echo. So it's only Becky and Naomi over there. And then you go, and now all of a sudden what you're forgetting about is, while she's taking time off right now, you do have the potential of down the line doing a feud with Nikki Bella. And I'm planning for a year because that's about how long these should last before you do some sort of shakeup again. I mean, that's just kind of a logical number. So let's say you do the first 2 to 3 months because she's going to need a rematch with Naomi. And maybe you don't even have Charlotte win at the first one, and so that you can kind of establish Naomi for Charlotte to take the title off of her. And then you can go into a 3-month feud with Becky. Now from there, depending on if Nikki's back, you take it over to Nikki. And if not, and it's the right time, you bring up Asuka. And I think the only place Asuka really fits is SmackDown. I think that's she's very much a wrestler's wrestler, and she wouldn't fit in with the more promo style at Raw. So I think that's a very realistic draw to say that now if you say she has a feud with Nikki, that could be quite compelling as far as like mic work especially. And then she has a feud with Asuka. Then now all of a sudden you've booked for an entire year. And I mean, that's only 4 people. There's all sorts of different people on that roster. I mean, you could flip a Natalya and maybe potentially get a great match out of there. I mean, there's all sorts of different things. There's all sorts of different things that you can do with Charlotte. And I think that the opportunities for her are bigger than The Miz and Alexa Bliss, who I think are getting moved out of the pond that they were doing so well into a place where there might not even really be a place on the show for either one of those 2 characters.
You keep saying these things.
Okay, and that is it for the first round of this championship edition of Last Mark Standing. I got a few notes, and I want to share those with you all right now. Manny, you were laying back in the cut during the debate early on, and I'm quite sure you were thinking the same thing that I was. Duke and Lucas are absolutely tearing each other apart, just ripping each other to shreds. And I think your strategy was, you know what? I'm going to slide in the middle and, I'm just going to take this over. It's mutually assured destruction on the side of Duke and Lucas, and they're just making it easier for me to slide through to victory. The issue with that is that as soon as you got in there with The Miz, they turned around and they jumped on your ass and they would not let up. So much so to the point where I think that they neutralized The Miz and they completely took him down because they effectively argued the case that what made The Miz was that environment that was created on SmackDown. And it's really hard or nearly impossible for him to take all of that to Monday Night Raw. When you look at what he did with John Cena and Daniel Bryan, that defined who The Miz was, and you can't recreate that because those people aren't following him over to Monday Night Raw. So for me, this came down to Charlotte and Alexa Bliss, Duke and Lucas. For the arguments of what this move did for the division that this person is going to, and also the potential of what it could mean for that person themselves, I have to give the point to Lucas.
Yes.
Okay. What? First shot fired in this championship edition of Last Mark Standing. We're going to go ahead and roll on to round number 2. And with this round, we have the question. What was that?
What? What? What?
What's going on?
What?
Are you still in shock?
Yes.
Well, you do have the opportunity to redeem yourself in round number 2. So there's a lot of stuff that's been going on with WWE's commentators lately. For example, in the Superstar Shakeup, you had Byron Saxton from Raw switching places with David Otunga from SmackDown. Then David Otunga takes a leave of absence from the commentary table. As he is going off to film a movie, you have Booker T returning to take his place over on Raw. And then, of course, the rumors and allegations swirling about concerning Mauro Ranallo's absence from WWE and JBL's assholishness possibly being the reason why he is gone. When things like this happen with the mixing and the matching and people leaving and the people who are still there, maybe the question naturally comes up, who is your favorite commentator? Who do you place a value on at one of WWE's commentary tables? And then on the flip side of that, which is the direction that we'll be heading in today, who do you think is expendable? So the question for round number 2 in this championship edition of Last Mark Standing, Marks, who do you think is WWE's worst commentator? Manny, you have the opportunity to take us into round number 2. Go ahead and take it away.
Stop it. It's Byron Saxton. It's not even close. No fucking... Yeah, he was on SmackDown this past week, and he was semi-tolerable. That doesn't make up for the fucking years that he's put in for actively destroying any semblance of competence that we had at the commentary table. It's Byron Saxton by far.
All right, Duke, who is the worst commentator in WWE?
JBL, I guess. Why not?
And Lucas, final answer. Who's the worst commentator in WWE?
I hate to be Captain Obvious here, but it's David Otunga.
Okay. Now that all of the picks have been made, go ahead and fight it out.
I'm so sorry that it's two black people in this conversation. It kind of hurts my soul. But, you know, it is what it is, man. If you're not good, you're not good. And Byron Saxton is way worse than JBL or Tonga. JBL is competent. I actually like listening to him.
I mean, if you want to get technical, there's only 6/5 black people in this conversation.
Shut up, dude. Anyway, this fucking JBL is actually competent. I enjoy listening to him from time to time. He may say a stupid thing at a time or two, and David Otunga, there's nothing wrong with him. I don't get the hate that people have toward him. He generally just blends into with what everybody else is saying. It's not even an issue of him like actively saying dumb stuff. But Byron Saxton, oh my God, listening to him, he is like the most white bread company man black guy that I've ever seen in my life. And it's like so frustrating because I'm sure that he's probably a nice guy and I'm sure that he actually can contribute to something to the roster, but he is like the embodiment of everything that WWE wants the WWE universe to be and to think and everything. Oh, here comes John Cena. Yay. Oh, yeah. No, man, it's horrible, like, listening to that at the commentary table, especially when you already got Michael Cole there that's, like, doing the play-by-play and saying stupid shit from time to time. And Corey Graves, who I personally love, he's like a heel commentator. Byron Saxton on Raw has generally just kind of stuck out and is blatant when he does or says something incredibly stupid. Whereas David Otunga, he just kind of blends in. His stupidity just doesn't derive from actively making the commentary team worse or anything like that. He just kind of blends into the cut. He's just chilling back and doing his own thing.
So there's a lot of things wrong with everything you just said about Byron Saxton. Number one, Byron Saxton has always had experience and a background in commentary. Even before commentating for Raw or SmackDown, he's commented during his time with FCW and ECW. He provides humor during commentary, which is still at least one quality he possesses that's very important. You know, you do, even if it's dumb humor and you might not like it, at least he still contributes. He puts on a show, even if it's a dumb show that he puts on. At least he's still pretty entertaining in the aspect that he could be a dumbass from time to time.
There is nothing entertaining about Byron Saxton.
And he tells good stories. He supports baby faces. He plays his role right. There's nothing wrong with what he does. As far as I'm concerned, at least he shows passion and is more lively during the commentary than somebody like David Otunga is, who doesn't show any minimal effort of wanting to improve. And it's as simple as that. Byron Saxton at least has a resume on his career, as far as I'm concerned, when it comes to the broadcasting.
Shit about his resume.
Experience matters.
It doesn't matter.
He's clearly not as bad as David Otunga. Did you do your research? Because David Otunga has never, ever stepped anywhere near broadcasting, and WWE flat out just gave him the job. And for what?
Cares?
Because he failed as a wrestler?
And he does a better job than Byron fucking Saxton. The only time that Byron Saxton is ever entertaining is when somebody's talking shit about him, telling him to shut the fuck up. Or I swear to God, I hope you get drafted to SmackDown, Byron. That was the best line of the whole night. That's why. Because no one fucking likes him.
David Otunga is bland. He is bland on commentary. He is the worst. He doesn't contribute to anything.
Actively bad.
He doesn't contribute to anything. He's just as bad. He shows no emotion. It's like if he wasn't even there, we wouldn't even notice it. That's how bad the guy is. And I'm sorry, but if you're a commentator, you have to contribute. You have to tell me the story. You have to convince me that what's going on in the ring is actually worth anything. And David Otunga, he doesn't accomplish that.
But did you hear what you just said? You hear what you just said? He's so bland that if you were to take him away, you wouldn't even notice it. I would rather have that. No, that is great. That is great for the purposes of what we're talking about, because I would take that as opposed to Byron Saxton, who was actively dragging the product down with the dumb shit that he says on a regular basis. Every fucking episode besides this last one. I don't know what the fuck got into him this last one. He was actually relatively competent, and JBL was nice. It was weird. But on a regular basis, Byron Saxton actively makes the show worse, whereas David Otunga is just there. He's harmless. It's not an issue.
No, he's not harmless. The guy is terrible. There's been people that are calling for his job. They don't want him in that position. And on top of that, he's about to go on a 6-week hiatus. Booker T is replacing him. And guess what? Yeah, Booker T is replacing him. And guess what? I guarantee to you that's going to be the moment David Otunga loses his job. Booker T is going to overshadow him. He's going to get so much benefits and compliments out of this that people are not even going to care that David Otunga left. And let me ask you a question. Is anybody begging for David Otunga to be back? No. Does anyone miss David Otunga? No. There's actually Byron Saxton fans out there. There's no, wait a second. There's actually no. Yes, there are. Just because you don't like him doesn't mean there aren't other people out there that actually like the guy, you know. And by the way,
consistently the butt of people's jokes when they talk about the commentary team, but even more so than Michael Cole.
Another point about Otunga, the guy failed so miserably as a wrestler that how could we even take him seriously as a color commentator, right? Because he's supposed to analyze. He's supposed to analyze what's going on, dissect what's going on in the ring. Yet he's only had like 2 or 3 years of wrestling to really even be on commentary. Like that's
by that logic. Why should we listen to anybody that hasn't been a wrestler? Why should we listen to Michael Cole or Jim Ross? That logic
is play-by-play.
You could listen to that's a wrestler.
Cole
JBL is fucking terrible.
And how is JBL terrible? Explain that to me.
Because one of the things a commentator is supposed to do is to hopefully expose new markets to your product. Now, and you're also supposed to shed light on what's going on in the ring and really spotlight the wrestlers. JBL couldn't give a shit about what's going on in the ring. JBL just cares about getting his fucking spots in and making himself shine to the point where the wrestler becomes the second story. And that's always kind of been JBL's thing since he's been on commentary, and it's never really changed. There's not a situation in which JBL has enhanced the story. Instead, what we get is, give me it.
He's always telling stories in the ring. He's always specifically dissecting.
He's always doing it. He's always doing it, man.
Yeah, he's always doing it.
He's always. Isn't that the answer that you just give when you can't think of one?
I can think of many cases where he's done that with all the heels.
Open that to Manny.
With all the heels
you
he
think
supports.
What? I'm sorry. What heels does he support, and what times is instead of trying to get that actual support on the heels, is he just trying to get himself over even more?
Okay, and name a specific time when he's tried to put himself over.
Every single week, if you go in and watch any match
you just said
if you go in and watch any match when he was on Raw, you go in and watch any match when he's on SmackDown.
Give me a
if you go back last week and you watch the
You're
triple
doing the
threat,
same thing I did.
If you go, I'm literally giving. Will you shut your fucking mouth and let me give you an answer? If you go back last week. If you go back last week and watch the triple threat, instead of talking about how devious Baron Corbin is and how Baron Corbin's a guy that he likes as he's cut from the same nail as JBL, and maybe like kind of giving you like this fun like kind of thing that you should be able to do as a former wrestler turned commentator, JBL couldn't get a shit about getting Baron Corbin over. In fact, fucking Tom Phillips is getting Baron Corbin over way more than JBL should, and JBL's the fucking heel commentator. This guy is out there just out for himself, and he's losing WWE markets instead of gaining them markets, which he should be able to do. The guy is supposedly some sort of philanthropist. Backstage, he's bullying people. Coachman said he's not going to cover WWE for ESPN anymore. He's directly because of this Mauro Ranallo stuff. You're really losing. Yes, he did. It says right here, his tweet says, and I quote, I realized this week I enjoy golf so much more, and it's a positive sport, and my knowledge is respected. And then he said, and then he came out and also said the actual tweet was, after serious soul searching, I've decided that I will no longer be doing off the top rope or WWE related content. We'll leave it to the pros.
Damn.
How does that?
He lost an entire market that WWE should be clamoring to get back. There's no reason this guy's even got a job anymore. When you lose a market as big as ESPN, that
doesn't contribute to his commentary.
The thing is, that's not about his commentary skills. Though.
Exactly. That's not about his commentary skills at all. You're providing an argument about something he's doing outside of WWE as
JBL for as much
JBL took eyes away from the product instead of getting more eyes on the product.
That's not about his commentary. That's about his backstage.
It's about his commentary.
That plays into his commentary.
No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
Yes,
it doesn't.
He has
because
skill.
everybody knows what commentator JBL did. Everybody knows what commentator JBL did to Mauro Ranallo. They know that's a WWE commentator.
That's the person.
It's the same way that if you walk down the street, you've always been told you're a representative of whatever work you're at, whatever school you're at. As a commentator, you are.
We're not talking about that. We're talking about his commentary skills.
He's doing his job. He's doing his job.
JBL, for as much
doing his job as a
commentator
on
a regular basis on the commentary table, at least he's funny when he says it. And JBL is good for those really serious moments. So like when the Undertaker loses a streak or something like that, or when somebody's getting beat the fuck up and he's like, oh, that's so uncalled for. This is so wrong and everything like that. He's good for contributing in those moments.
He doesn't say that. You know what he says? He deserved it. He deserved it.
That's in the silly moments. That's not in the serious moments.
That's what JBL does.
And
if JBL was calling the Braun Strowman thing, he'd say, hell yeah, you should go back and get him again.
JBL has the most seniority.
That's exactly what JBL was saying.
He talked about how it was completely uncalled for Shane to be beat up at the hands of AJ like that. He wasn't supporting the heel out blatantly like that.
He has the most experience. Everybody in the commentary team right now. How could he be the worst?
What? You keep talking. Did you say experience again? I don't give a shit about experience.
That's part of the job.
No,
you gotta have experience.
You need to be able to do your. I don't give a shit how much experience you
gotta be qualified.
To be able to do your job properly.
So qualification doesn't count as part of the job. Is that what you're telling me? Wow. That's
yes.
Let's go ahead and wrap this up. It's time to deliver our closing arguments. Going to start off with Manny. Deliver your case for Byron Saxton being WWE's worst commentator.
Well, I've said it all already. Byron Saxton actively brings the fucking product down with his lame ass, shitty ass, cheesy ass commentary. David Otunga blends into the background. He's not very good. Whatever. He doesn't actively do anything to bring it down. JBL actually has qualities on the mic at the commentary table where he's actually endearing from time to time, where he can actually be useful. Byron Saxton has never done anything useful in his commentary life. I don't know who he is as a person. I don't care, because that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about commentary. We're not talking about JBL being backstage being a dick, which is completely awful. And I've always said that. But Byron Saxton on the commentary perspective is completely trash. He's never done anything. He's never brought anything useful to the table in his capacity as a commentator.
Duke?
There's a situation in which JBL is effectively the lead commentator on SmackDown. And as the lead commentator, he has a certain job and certain expectations that he is not living up to on a week-to-week basis. Now, Byron Saxton and David Otunga have never been asked to be the lead of anything. David Otunga, I don't even think ever actually called a match himself. I'm sure the great Khali would have called over him. These guys are just kind of those guys who are allowed to fade into the background, so much so that when you look at what Byron Saxton or David Otunga adds, I don't think they really do enough to be bad. I think these guys kind of like sit around and they just kind of, they're them. I don't know. I'd never have really sat down and said, I dislike Byron Saxton or I dislike David Otunga. I think David Otunga was perfectly fine. No, I've never actually said I dislike Byron Saxton. That's a true fact.
Okay.
But meanwhile, I sat here and from day one, JBL, like at first he was charming. And there was these little things that you said and you were like, oh, JBL, this is going to be a really cool fit. But he's as complacent as Dean Ambrose is in the way that his commentary never evolved. It was always the same 5 sports references. He's like got these certain little things that he does, and then it's ultimately about getting JBL over. And it's kind of annoying because he's had a career so long where you think that a guy who was a wrestler so long, having people like the King, like Jerry Lawler and Jim Ross calling some of his matches, would maybe have watched a couple of them back and went, wow, they really did a good job spotlighting me here. Maybe this is what I should do going forward. But instead, he hasn't done any of that. And in fact, he doesn't seem to even fit his own conventions. The guy still pops for John Cena. He doesn't effectively fill what a heel commentator should do, nor is he bringing in extra eyes. So I think that since he's such a big name, these things weigh a lot more than Byron Saxton and David Otunga, which if I ask somebody on the street, go, who the fuck's that?
And Lucas, go ahead, finish it off. Why is David Otunga WWE's worst commentator?
So to go by Duke's argument that JBL doesn't provide bigger markets, that he doesn't bring a certain audience into the WWE and this and that, you could argue the same thing for David Otunga. I mean, the guy, he's been an actor, he's been involved with celebrity roles, he's a lawyer, so you'd figure he could bring in a certain aspect as well, right? He could bring a certain interest to the WWE with his background in being a lawyer and being a celebrity. He's married to Jennifer Hudson. Isn't that a big deal? So yes, I think there should be more value in David Otunga, but I'll tell you why it's failing for him right now. Because as I said, he's forced. Everything that he says, you could just see that the WWE is feeding words into his mouth through the headset, telling him what to say. He has to be carried when he's on commentary because he just does not know how to think on his own feet and know what to say. WWE tells him what to say, and it's clear because whatever comes out of his mouth isn't important. It isn't original. It sounds robotic. It sounds like something he's reading off a script, and that's the problem with David Otunga on commentary. To be a commentator, you have to be unique. You have to be witty. Two things that JBL brings to the table. As far as Byron Saxton is concerned, Byron Saxton, I said it earlier, he has a background in broadcasting and in commentary, which means he's not the worst commentator in the WWE. He has experience as far as wrestling is concerned, more than 3 years. So he has room to actually be a color commentator as opposed to David Otunga, who's only been around for 3 years in ring wise. And we're supposed to take his word seriously when it comes to dissecting a match. I don't think so.
I just can't. Oh my God. I can't. Like, I can have a background. Oh my God.
That's it.
Oh,
Manny, you know what? You don't even have to say anything more honestly because during that round, maybe it's just that with that first one, you were like, oh my God, this dude actually fucking won. I'm going to fuck him up in round number 2. And I got to say, you did. You really did. You got an amazing point on Lucas where you took his words and you harnessed that power and you threw it right back at him when he was talking about how if David Otunga wasn't on commentary, you wouldn't even notice. That is him basically saying that, he's kind of harmless. He's just there. And when you're just there, that doesn't really make you the worst commentator. So Manny, that was a great job attacking Lucas. And I guess Lucas would be the odd man out this time around, and it comes down to Duke and Manny for me. Now, some great cases for both of you. One thing that I will say on Duke, though, you had a prime opportunity, and they were just laying the stage for you when they talked about, because they were hitting at you, too, when you were talking about how JBL was turning away people from the product, and they effectively argued that, hey, that's not about him and what he does as a commentator. That's about him as a person and what he does backstage. You could have made that connection where it's like, well, what he does backstage, that same reputation, it bleeds onto the commentary table because those same type of bullying antics, he does that shit on commentary. But I can't give you points for that because you did not make that argument. Even with that being said, though, I still think that the rest of the argument that you gave for JBL being WWE's worst commentator would give you the point in this round. So I'm going to go ahead and give that to you, Duke.
Cool. I thought there's no way I'd win that.
Oh my God.
I even DM'd Manny and I said, there's no way I won that, right?
Okay, so it's now tied 1-1, Duke and Lucas. Manny is sitting at 0, but lucky for him, this next round is worth 2 points, and this is the final round of Last Mark Standing. So the winner of round number 3, the main event, will be the winner of the Last Mark Standing Championship. WrestleMania 33 was not too long ago, and what we saw at that show was what everyone is assuming to be the Undertaker's retirement match. The person that retired the Undertaker was Roman Reigns, and there's been a big hoopla in the wrestling industry amongst fans that maybe that was the wrong person to do it. With you having the reins, so to say, who would you all pick to retire the Undertaker? So the question is, who should have retired the Undertaker at WrestleMania? We're going to go to Duke first. What's your answer?
Braun Strowman.
Okay. Lucas, who should have retired the Undertaker?
The guy that already did, Roman Reigns.
Okay. Interesting pick. Manny, who is your pick for the person that should have retired The Undertaker?
Future Jay. Jay that's editing this video right now. I want you to zoom in on me right here. Zoom in. I want center focus. Undertaker. I love you. Been through some times together. You've helped me grow and mature. Been watching you since I was a kid. But Undertaker, your retirement was way long overdue. And you should have been retired at the hands of Brock Lesnar in 2014 or 13, whatever the fuck WrestleMania 30 was. That should have been it.
Okay. That's interesting. All right. Well, I look forward to hearing all of your arguments in favor of your picks and against the others. Again, this is the championship round of Last Mark Standing. The winner of this one will be crowned the champ. So go ahead, fight it out.
Okay, so the Brock Lesnar already ended the streak, and to me, these are entirely different entities, and I think that you almost create a certain, like, natural feud because of it. Now, what Lucas is suggesting is that we create that natural feud between Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns, with the one that ended the streak and the one that retired The Undertaker.
Nobody wants to see that.
Now, I'm saying that if you go out and you give the honor of retiring The Undertaker to Braun Strowman, not only have you put a giant notch in a young stars thing that Brock Lesnar, if booked correctly ahead of time, like he should have been, and one of the reasons that he shouldn't have been the one to retire The Undertaker and probably should have just been booked better before he even beat the streak. Like that's another argument all of itself. At the time, Brock Lesnar was not positioned well enough to do what he did and have it work as well as it did. But Braun Strowman, you've already built this guy up now over however long to be a monster. Now you have him go out there, and now I'm going to set the stage of what would happen. Braun Strowman's wrestling The Undertaker. Undertaker's trying to get in his offense, and Braun's just no-selling it, really making it feel like this guy's old. He's done. And then all of a sudden you see him hit his finisher, and you're like, oh God, that's it. And all of a sudden Braun just comes out, just like says, I'm not done with you yet, and hits like 4 more and then pins him. And Undertaker just lays there. And instead of being able to like take off his boots or anything, WrestleMania cuts with Undertaker just laying there. And that's the way that you retire The Undertaker. I think that's 100 times more effective because you've put monstrous heat on Roman Reigns for retiring The Undertaker. And the problem with doing it with Brock Lesnar is afterwards, if you're going to go to Cena right away, the only problem with that is that it turned Brock into a good guy. So if you're trying to sit there and you're going to try and push this guy as a monster heel, I think the guy that you're going to want, which is what the kind of heat that you're going to get for ending the streak or retiring The Undertaker in this situation, because he's a childhood hero to a lot of people, Braun Strowman's probably your way to go because he's the kind of guy that can really embrace that and really use that as a real notch and building block for the rest of his character to be built on.
Well, the problem with Braun Strowman, he's a newcomer. So he's not established.
Perfect.
He's not established. He's not established or credible enough.
What's it with you? You want everybody to have this experience before they
hold on a
do their
second.
job
Are
right.
you telling me that we're gonna get multiple years of return on our investment? God, what a terrible idea.
First of all, we're talking about The Undertaker here, so it's funny how both of you guys may not have some respect for The Undertaker because it can't just be anybody who retires The Undertaker. They would have to earn that. And as far as I'm concerned, well, can you let me explain why? First of all, Braun Strowman, he's not established or credible enough. WWE does not have faith in the guy as of right now to be the guy to put the end to The Undertaker. And as far as
that The Undertaker's as good as he is,
out of the guy that retired The Undertaker.
Yeah, the story isn't that that Undertaker's as good as he was when he was in the prime of his career. This story was blatantly that Undertaker's old and beaten up and just can't go anymore. Yeah. This is perfect for Braun Strowman to come in and just murder him.
Okay, so then by that argument,
wait a minute, murdering him again.
So then by that argument, what does him beating The Undertaker accomplish if The Undertaker's all beat up? I mean, you just hit your own argument right there, right in the head, right to the ground. Yes, you did. It's not effective. It's not effective because you just said it's not a big deal then, right? So then why are we having the match? That doesn't make any sense.
Exactly, Lucas. The reason exactly my point.
The reason it's a big deal is because he literally took somebody's bunch of people in the audience's childhood hero and beat the shit out of him, and he's going to get heat for that, and that heat is going to be translated well.
Anymore. But you said Taker isn't effective anymore, so that derails everything you just said.
I'm not asking. No, what I'm saying is Taker's not going to go out there and have a technical classic match anymore.
Nobody's saying that. Nobody's saying that.
He hasn't been able to do it for a long time. So if you're going to have him be ended, this story of him being old and not really being able to go anymore, and then some young guy coming in and absolutely bathing in his blood is exactly the way to do it.
Okay.
You have somebody come in who's going to be a monster. You let him start off by adding a huge legend name, much in the way that Randy Orton became the legend killer. You're going to have Braun go out there and he's going to retire The Undertaker. That is a notch in anybody's belt, regardless of what shape The Undertaker's in.
So in order for Braun Strowman to have been relevant, it would have been because of Roman Reigns, and that's exactly what happened. So let's just point out the fact that if it were not for Roman Reigns, Braun Strowman would not be in any position right now to be in the conversation of retiring The Undertaker, because if
it wasn't for the Shield, Roman Reigns wouldn't be in any conversation. What's your point?
The Shield was a part of Roman Reigns. I don't know what you're talking about in
what?
But anyway, as far as Braun Strowman is concerned, he's a newcomer. He's a rookie. He's simply not a guy who WWE could look at and say, yes, he's the perfect answer to retiring The Undertaker, because that would be too much of a risk. And actually, the fans would probably riot more so. The fans would probably riot.
Got it is because Vince has a hard on for him.
No, Roman Reigns is a polarizing figure, and that's why he's in the position he's in right now, because he puts butts in seats. That's why he main evented against The Undertaker at WrestleMania. You put Braun Strowman in that position, guarantee it's not the main event of WrestleMania. Why? Because Braun Strowman isn't nearly the star that a guy like Roman Reigns is, who's going to be carrying the company for the next 10 years, whether you guys like it or not. So as far as Braun Strowman is...
If Roman Reigns would have embraced the fact that he was heel, I've been all with you, but he's... Yep. Really, he hasn't. He's
honestly. Why does he have to embrace that he's a heel? Why does he have to embrace that he's a heel?
Because that is a monster heat situation. You retired The Undertaker.
That doesn't mean anything.
You're going to get booed.
But that doesn't mean he has to turn heel. I just explained why it works, because he's a polarizing star. He's bound to get the most
That word
reaction.
Doesn't mean anything. That word just means that some people don't like him, and then the other people buy his shirt. Dean Ambrose still sells merch, and he's not.
He gets the most reactions, even if he wasn't in a position to beat The Undertaker. That's why they put him in that position in the first place.
Yours actually happened. We get to witness what happens with Roman Reigns going forward. Where does he stand right now? Got beat the fuck up by Braun Strowman. What does that do for his career? Fucking nothing.
I just explained why it's helping Braun Strowman. So without Roman Reigns helping Braun Strowman, Duke wouldn't even have an argument right now.
Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman were feuding well before Roman Reigns was feuding with The Undertaker.
Exactly.
That wouldn't matter. It would have been the same impact.
And if I was booking this match, Roman Reigns would have been set up to have The Undertaker. Braun Strowman would have murdered him in that ambulance, taken his match with The Undertaker, retired The Undertaker, and then turned around and thrown Roman Reigns back in an ambulance a month later.
That would have been way more effective. But the problem is, retiring Undertaker in 2017 means nothing. Nothing, I tell you, because as soon as The Undertaker lost, no, it does not. It means absolutely nothing. And we're watching it right now. Roman Reigns is no better off. Like, he comes out and says, I'm the big dog now. This is my yard now.
Did you not see the reaction after WrestleMania?
I saw the reaction after WrestleMania.
Did you watch Raw after WrestleMania?
That has everything to do with
Did you see them turn around and try
to do with the fact that he retired The Undertaker or anything like that. He's just taking the heat on from Undertaker leaving. That has nothing to do with him actively retiring The Undertaker.
And did you see him turn around and the next week proceed to just absolutely just try and garner sympathy? Nobody has sympathy for you. You just retired their childhood hero.
Anyway. Problem is, when The Undertaker lost the streak, that was the end of all momentum that The Undertaker had. And the only stories that he had left to tell that were actually worth a damn were with Brock Lesnar. So if you wanted to bring him back for that feud, that little mini feud that he had with Brock Lesnar, that would have been fine. And then Brock Lesnar could have retired him at SummerSlam or something like that. But you constantly bringing him back to feud with Bray Wyatt for a one-off, or who did he feud with last year? I don't even remember. Was it Shane? Shane was last year.
You're missing a crucial part of this story.
What?
You're missing a crucial part of the story, though.
Crucial part
is that after he got beaten, Undertaker then decided that he was going to turn around and he was going to try and come back, and he was going to try and make a return to form. And he picked up a couple of victories. He picked up two. He picked up two victories. He picked up 2 victories at WrestleMania. He looked out.
Gone.
He looked out, and then all of a sudden he turned around.
Just because the streak is gone does not mean it's the end of the Undertaker. Just because it's the end of
Undertaker had a good match.
Not the year he faced Brock Lesnar, that's for sure. If anything, if Brock Lesnar, let me tell you something. If Brock Lesnar was going to be the one to take out the Undertaker, and that's the way Taker was going to go out, that would have been the most underwhelming way to go out ever. So I'm sorry, but for you to say that Brock Lesnar should have been the end.
When was the last time Undertaker had a compelling feud and a good match?
This year against Roman Reigns.
There was nothing compelling about that feud or that match.
It told the story. It told the story.
It didn't.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
it told the story.
It told a story that's been invalidated in 2 weeks. That's your problem.
How has it been invalidated in 2 weeks?
Because the story going into that, afterwards, I would be completely on your side, like I said earlier, if they had just embraced the fact that Roman Reigns was going to be disliked. But then you turn around, you try and start getting sympathy for this guy, and all of a sudden, this creative way that would have been a really effective way to turn Roman Reigns heel and get the people who probably would have cheered him when he was heel to boo him still. That would have been incredible.
And that about being a heel. It has nothing to do with being a heel. And actually, he is embracing the dislike because he didn't say a word when the fans were mocking him and chanting all sorts of things.
And then they sat him down for a sit-down interview.
Say a word. That was the Raw after WrestleMania. It's literally always like that.
And then the next week they turned around. They're like, "Let's sit him down for an interview." And then
the story isn't finished yet. But the story isn't finished yet. You're not willing. You're not willing to wait what's going to happen in the next couple of weeks with Roman Reigns. You're just judging it based off 1 week.
Nobody cares. Only the reason that they care.
Nobody cares. Nobody cares. If that's the case, why is Roman Reigns on TV right now? Why is he the one getting the most boos? Nobody cares. Get the fuck out of here with that. That doesn't make any sense right there.
Let me ask you a question. Did John Laurinaitis get booed all the time when he was on TV?
Okay, those are two completely different arguments right there. Those are two completely different arguments right there. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Nobody's coming to see Roman
Reigns the same way. Nobody is coming to boo Roman Reigns the same way that they came to boo John Cena. And
they're buying tickets. They're buying tickets to boo Roman Reigns.
They're not buying because of Roman Reigns.
Yes,
this is you buying into WWE's bullshit.
Seriously.
That's really what this is.
That's what you guys think. And that's what you guys think.
That's what we're listening to. That's all we're listening to is you spewing WWE's bullshit and trying to force it onto our audience as if it's a fact. It's not. Nobody came here to watch Roman
so
Reigns.
If I'm going to turn around and tell you why Brock Lesnar couldn't have done it, it's because Brock Lesnar ended the streak, and with Brock Lesnar being older, you need a way to pay that off even farther because Brock Lesnar's not going to be around for 10 to 12 years.
Okay,
who is going to be around for 10 to 12 years?
Pay that off down the road.
Potentially Braun Strowman. You've got a young star here who's going to be able to shoot up. Imagine if you turn that around and have him. Imagine if you turn that around and have him beat Brock Lesnar. If you turn that around and have and turn this into now Braun Strowman's the guy who finally dethrones Brock Lesnar, who's an actual full-time roster guy. Do you know how much this does for that character?
That's fine.
Now that is a huge story that sets up everybody looks the same. Everybody is a small vanilla baby face anymore. And if you put in a new guy with a lot of size in Braun Strowman, who's going to be a monster heel and is really going to get the kind of reaction that you need him to get and is really starting to show that he has hit his stride, that's the guy that you want to capture right now.
Dude,
that is exactly what he is.
It's time to wrap it up. Time to wrap it up.
He's hitting his stride because of Roman Reigns. That's simple as that. He's only hitting his stride.
I wasn't finished. I wasn't done.
Okay, you'll get your chance. You'll actually get the last word. You're going to get the last word. But I'm going to turn it over to Duke right now. Final shots. Remember, this is for the championship. Go big or go home. Why is Braun Strowman the perfect person to retire The Undertaker?
Because the only problem with having Brock Lesnar do it, which Brock Lesnar is on paper a good answer is that you don't get enough return. So now if you have two guys there, one who has retired the Undertaker and one who officially beat the streak, now that story is so easily told, and it's the reason that they had to go there, the Raw after WrestleMania with Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns, and that story would work so much better with Brock Lesnar and Braun Strowman. And that story works. It propels a new star into the stratosphere, and you've really built up a guy the right way now, something that WWE honestly has a hard time doing, and especially one of those big muscle guys that people on the internet may not necessarily like, but really are kind of what makes wrestling go.
Okay, and Lucas, why is Roman Reigns the perfect person to retire The Undertaker?
The problem with Braun Strowman, once again, I'm going to keep touching on it, is the fact that he's only relevant right now in any capacity because of who he's been going up against in the past couple of months, which is Roman Reigns. You put Braun Strowman in any other position other than to be facing Roman Reigns, Braun Strowman will not get the reaction that he is getting right now currently because of Roman Reigns. Yes, he's getting cheered. Oh, people think he's a monster, but it's because of what he did to Roman Reigns. He was doing it to Sami Zayn. Was there a lot of effect from that? No. Did it have impact? Not really. And what was he doing before that? Facing a whole bunch of jobbers. So in order for that to have happened where he faces The Undertaker, he would have immediately had to have gone through Roman Reigns first. Because if you just put Braun Strowman in that position where he immediately jumps into a storyline against The Undertaker at WrestleMania, what investment is there in that when what he was doing previously to that was just facing some nobodies? I'm sorry, but we need story, we need build-up. And what happened? Braun Strowman was built up to that monster that you're talking about right now because of Roman Reigns. And that's why Roman Reigns was the right answer to facing The Undertaker, because we did get that buildup. We did get that anticipation between Taker and Roman Reigns starting at the Royal Rumble. They've been telling us the story of how Roman is the big dog. Yes, he beat Braun Strowman at Fastlane. It's as simple as that. You go from beating Braun Strowman, who was, yes, one beast, and then he goes on to face The Undertaker. And you take all of that into consideration with the fact that Roman Reigns is already the guy anyway, and he has yet to beat Brock Lesnar, who I'm going to get to now. Brock Lesnar was the one in whatever it was in one that beat The Undertaker at WrestleMania first. But now you're getting the story of the two who were the only two to beat The Undertaker at WrestleMania. And what you're getting out of this is essentially the battle of the two beasts, the two biggest beasts in the jungle in the WWE right now, and that is Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns. And it only makes sense. It's only fitting that the part-timer, the guy that's already there, that has the title right now, is facing the guy that's going to be there for the next 10 years. He's going to be passing on the torch to Roman Reigns, the guy who's going to become what WWE is all about for the next 10 years, whether people like it or not. We need to have that collision happen at some point this year or next year where Roman Reigns takes that title from Brock Lesnar and solidifies himself as the king on top of the mountain in the WWE. So in order for him to have gotten to that point, he would have had to gone through The Undertaker. That's why it made sense. Whereas with Brock Lesnar, what do you get? A rematch at WrestleMania with him facing Taker. He beats Taker again. And then what? Or to go by what Manny is saying here, he simply just beats him the first time and then retires him there. What's the payoff? There is no payoff there. That's selfish. That's selfish. That's what that is.
All right, okay, are you done? Did you finish or are you done?
Like, you were out of this argument a long time ago.
You're sitting here talking about how fucking Roman Reigns has to demonstrate how he's the king of the jungle when he's currently sitting in the hospital bed. Get the fuck out of here. All Roman Reigns is WWE continually forcing his bullshit down our throats and trying to play off him retiring The Undertaker that means a fuck in 2017. The problem is, Undertaker deserved the opportunity to go out on a high note, to go out in a way that was befitting of someone that's of the same way that he did Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels went out one of the best matches of his career. Undertaker deserved that same opportunity. He should have went out at SummerSlam with Brock Lesnar. You get him losing the streak at WrestleMania. Then he comes back and does he gets his one win back via, I don't know, DQ or counter or something. In some way, he beats Brock Lesnar. It could have been a no DQ match or something. And then he loses his final match against Brock Lesnar, and that's it. Because once Undertaker lost the streak, He had no more stories to tell. The story that he told with Roman Reigns, nobody gave a damn. The story that he was just shoved into.
Everybody gave a damn.
No one gave a shit. No one gave a shit to the point where everybody
opinion.
was surprised when it went on last because they expected Brock Lesnar and Goldberg to go on last. But stop interrupting me, young man. He had the feud with Shane McMahon where he was just kind of inserted in there randomly, I might add. And then he had the feud with Bray Wyatt, which was like, what the fuck? You lost the streak. Why are we even watching this match right now? There's no reason for you to be here. The only reason that he would have to be there is if he was still telling compelling stories and giving good matches. And he wasn't doing that. He hasn't been doing that since his match with CM Punk. That was the last time. And no one answered my question. That was the last time Undertaker had a compelling feud and a compelling match in which he could actually go. His match with Brock Lesnar.
That's not right either. But that's beyond the point.
That's not right at all.
It's true.
It's not.
It's damn true.
All right, so the match.
All right, the fighting is over. It's on Manny.
It's not important.
Can I finish?
It's not important.
Can I finish? It is important. It is.
I just mean it.
Because
it's the match before that.
Here subjected to Undertaker, watching him continually break down and not be able to go for the past 3 years when it should have been over 3 years ago. That should have been the last time that we saw Undertaker. Yeah, you can get him coming back and finishing his thing with Brock and then cap it off at SummerSlam. That's the payoff that you get. Then you transition into Brock Lesnar versus Braun Strowman later down the line, which when Braun Strowman was standing in the ring with Brock Lesnar, you listen to that pop and tell me that's not what people want to see, as opposed to fucking Roman Reigns that's out there getting booed the fuck out of here because he's Roman Reigns. It has nothing to do with him retiring the Undertaker. It doesn't mean anything in 2017 because he was already broken at the hands of Brock Lesnar.
Okay. And I just want to go back to round number 2 because I realized I didn't exactly say what my reasoning was for Duke winning that one since he was confused too. Hell, I might as well let you know. I think that you, the big thing that you did for me was you showed that JBL was judged to a higher standard and more was expected of him in his position. Therefore, when he fails, it has a greater impact on the commentary team than when Byron Saxton fails or when David Otunga fails. So that's why I gave you the point in that round. Now that that's over, on this one, Manny, Emmanuel.
Yes.
You are a trip, man. Okay, so I want to know if I'm the only one that noticed the fact that in the beginning, Manny said that The Undertaker should have been retired when the streak ended. And then at the end, he said he should have had a few more matches with Brock Lesnar after that. I did pick up off of that.
Get out his options.
Also, my favorite line from you was, Roman Reigns didn't get heat for retiring The Undertaker. He got heat for The Undertaker leaving. Well, what was the reason why The Undertaker left?
He was just the guy that was in that position. He wasn't getting heat because he actively put him down or anything like that.
Bullshit.
Manny, you clearly had an agenda in this round. Your agenda was fuck The Undertaker's old ass, and Lucas, you will not pass. Your agenda was not winning, so unfortunately, this isn't going to go to you.
Whoa, what do you mean my agenda was not winning?
Because just look at the way that you jumped on board arguing in favor of Braun Strowman just so you can take shots at Lucas. And then, like I said, you contradicted your own argument. Like you created a different story than you established at the beginning. At first, it was, Undertaker had to go at WrestleMania. But then it was like, okay, well, he could have had a few more matches with Brock. Now that we got that out of the way, this is down to Lucas and Duke. Lucas, this was pretty tough for you because you're the only one that tapped into reality. Like we were thinking of dream scenarios. Duke was looking to the future. Manny was looking to the past. You're dealing with the here and now. Roman Reigns actually was the person who defeated The Undertaker and retired The Undertaker at WrestleMania. So they were beating the hell up on you in that regard, talking about how it wasn't effective and things like that. But I still think that you fought as hard as you could in favor of that. Duke, like I said, a dream scenario talking about Braun Strowman and what you hoped would happen with him. Great offense, defense from both of you guys. But if I am going to determine a winner for this edition of Last Mark Standing, the Last Mark Standing, the champion of Last Mark Standing, that person is Duke. So congratulations to you, Duke. You are crowned the first champion of Last Mark Standing, or at least this edition of Last Mark Standing. Do you have any words? You're now on your podium. Bitch. Any words?
I was there when Manny and Justin screwed me out of the first title. That's fortunately been retconned. And feels good to be number one, where I should be.
All right.
It's just a clothesline, Duke. It's just a clothesline.
That's a fucking rainmaker, and you know it.
Oh God. Yeah. Any words from Manny or Lucas? Any words from you?
I got screwed. I'm under protest right now. I fought my damnedest. I didn't get the opportunity to say that I was agreeing with Braun Strowman versus Brock Lesnar, but not with Braun Strowman retiring the Undertaker. But it's okay. It's cool. Yeah, I changed my argument a little bit. I made it fit to what I needed it to be. I still stand by it, but whatever. It's cool, Jay. I don't care.
All right, Lucas, anything?
I look forward to a rematch with Duke.
Yeah, you're probably not getting it. You're not that good, bud.
No, let's go ahead and call a spade a spade. Lucas fucked both of y'all up in that first round. He did.
I mean,
I would have given the point to me.
Of course you would have.
I thought it was a clean sweep. That's a lie. I thought I lost round 2.
If I didn't allow to go with my initial answer, but it's cool.
Thank you all for tuning in to Last Mark Standing. If you agree or disagree with the picks, go ahead, let me know down in the comment section below. But just so you know, I do not judge myself. Like, it is what it is. Whatever it is in the moment, that's what it is. Because y'all will not drive me crazy. You won't. So let that be known. Don't at me. But now that all of that is out of the way, Duke, you are the Last Mark Standing champion, and I look forward to seeing what this championship reign holds for you and the PWF Empire. So congratulations.
It's going to be really awkward when I retire with the damn title.
Okay, I don't know. There are things that happen, when you want to get the title off somebody, so.
There's things that happen when you don't want somebody to win the title, too. Justin.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing what your championship reign holds. That is it for Last Mark Standing. We'll catch you next time. I am Jay. Thank you for tuning in. Peace.